Welcome to my new series called Money Monday. So, in this series, we'll be talking about finances, we'll be talking about money mindset, we'll be talking about financial stewardship. And this is a subject dear to my heart, and I've been sensing that God wants me to talk more about it, about this. So, here is me obeying. And today's topic is really a topic dear to my heart. We'll be talking about savings, a little bit of investment. So I'm gonna just do an overview, and you have, if you want more details on what I'm talking about, you can register to our financial classes. All right. So I want to talk about a principle when it comes to savings called that I call the Joseph principle, and this is a Bible principle. And why is dear to my heart? Because I've seen it work really in our lives. And for me, when a principle is backed by the Bible, I find it very powerful. So because it has beared fruits, we've seen it, and even in the story of in the Bible, you can read it by yourself, and you can see how it saved an entire nation. So in Genesis 41, verse 34, and Genesis 47, um, verse 13. So it's the whole few chapters there. You can go ahead and read them. But we see that Egypt was going through um, basically an economic a period of economic stability. There was an economic growth, and people were harvesting beyond normal. And then when you read the story, Pharaoh had a dream, and then he called for wise people to interpret basically the dream, and that's when they called Joseph. And then when Joseph was interpreting it, he said that they will go through 7 years of uh, financial stability, and then they will go through a period of 7 years of famine. And to prevent that, basically what Joseph did, he required uh, a fifth of every farmer's harvest to be put aside, and to be given to the government. And it was a law implemented for 7 years. What it did at that time, so everyone was saving at least a fifth. So fifth, it's 20% of everything that they were harvesting. And then by doing that, Egypt became very stable, even through the period of the worst period, basically the period of famine. Everyone around the Egypt, every country around Egypt was coming to get food from Egypt. So, and I that's where this principle is coming from. So when it comes to your personal finances and savings, this is my recommendation. My recommendation is to save at least 20% of all income that is coming uh, through different source of income that you have. I recommend that you put a fifth of that money aside. How do you do that practically? So there is two layers to that. There is one layer that I call an emergency fund. So you have to have an emergency fund because situations happen. A car can break, sorry, a pipe in the house, or a kid gets sick, etc. So you have to have money that is accessible to you every time, and that you have put aside. So I would recommend, if you live abroad, at least $1,000, or if you know whichever currency that you may have in your country. Um, I was talking about abroad, meaning the US or Canada where I live, but it doesn't matter. Really, the idea is to put at least $1,000 in an account called emergency account, and then once you have that money set aside, then you can go ahead and try to save up to 3 to 6 months of living expenses into that account. And then after that, you can go up again and try to reach a goal of 6 to 12 months of your living expenses. Why? Because that will prevent you for you are basically building a fortress against anything that can come your way when it comes to your finances. Then you are very stable. You are very stable. So that's first. And in your whole income, I said that 20% should go into that whole account called investment, but 10% of that money should go into an emergency fund. Whenever you reach that goal, then you redirect the 10% plus the other 10% that you've been putting aside. So, as I mentioned, you have 20%. There is 10% that goes into investment. What is investment? Is you're investing in your future self, basically. So that's your, I don't know, future house, that is your kids' education, that is your whatever your priorities are, that's what you are going to put that money towards too. It may be retirement, it may be um, uh, you know, any goals, any financial goals that you may have. The other 10% you direct it into your emergency fund. And then once you finalize that goal of 6 to 12 months of your household living expenses, then you redirect the whole 20% into your investment accounts. Okay. And we'll be talking about probably how you can invest that money in stocks um, and in different vehicles that your government or um, your where you live allows you to do. So there are some smart decisions when it comes to to investing your money, but that's not the topic for today. So today, what I want to tell you is few things. First, you have in order to get that money set aside, you have to be disciplined. By discipline, I mean being below your means, right? Don't spend, don't the what matters, it's not the salary that you get. What matters really is how much you can keep after you spend your salary, right? So at least 20% of that money should be put into uh, an investment portfolio, and that investment portfolio is tiered in two ways, like the emergency fund first, which is money that are stable. Um, you are building a fortress for you guys, for your family, I mean, and then you have 10% that is going into your future. And then once you have that, you have 20%, then um, you should have a clear vision of your finances. What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Do you want to buy a rental property? How can you now multiply what God has given you, right? So there is this principle of financial stewardship. We are God's money managers. That's how I view things. So my money is not my money. My money is God's money, and I am just simply uh, God's money manager. And by doing that, if a company gives you some money for you to invest, what do you do? Um, if you are a good steward, you will multiply that money. So you start doing research and going on the market and look at opportunities. How can this money be put at work, and how can it generate interest? And there are so many ways to do that. And I, after all of that, remember to have a generous heart. So, and this is a subject for maybe my next series where I will be talking about uh, how you can be generous, how you can deal with people asking you money, and again, you have goals. You want to reach a certain place, a certain destination when it comes to your finances. But how do you do that? Plus, all the people that are coming your way asking for money, which is legit. And in this class, um, and in this series, I will be talking about generosity. We really need to be generous, but we really also need to be wise. How do we do that? Stay tuned.